The UK has been called out by the US once again. And again, it's about freedom of speech and censorship. Vice President Vance sat down with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy to discuss various geopolitical and economic issues, but couldn't help but give a warning about freedom of speech and censorship.
I'd say I've raised concerns about free speech in the United States of America. I think the entire collective West, the transatlantic relationship, our NATO allies, certainly the United States under the Biden administration, got a little too comfortable with censoring rather than engaging with a diverse array of opinions. So that's been my view. Obviously, I've raised some criticism and concerns about our friends on this side of the Atlantic. But the thing that I'd say to the people of England or to anybody else, to David, is many of the things that I worry most about were happening in the United States from 2020 to 2024. I just don't want other countries to follow us down what I think was a very dark path under the Biden administration.
Commentator Brad Palumbo agreed with the VP, saying the UK is heading down a dark path of censorship.
I think he's absolutely right about the United Kingdom and their sad decline in freedom of speech and freedom of press. I mean, you have thousands of people who've been arrested over the years because of things they posted on social media. That is not a free country. That is a kind of modern dystopia, an authoritarian state where the government can roll up with the authorities to come get you because they don't like what you have to say. It is sad to see that happen to one of our greatest allies, a beautiful nation with a long history and legacy as a beacon of freedom in the West. And I also appreciate JD Vance calling them out for it. But honestly, it will have to come from within. Their own citizens will have to stop standing for it, stop standing for the censorship, stop standing for the overreach, for the absurd policing. You see video after video where the police roll up on somebody for a crude joke that they posted online, or for asking someone, why don't you speak English, or any other sort of thing that's just fundamentally not a police matter. Freedom of speech is a basic human right, and we should expect more from our partners in the West than the increased censorship we see in the United Kingdom, especially with the Online Safety Act just rolling out over there. We're already seeing things taken down. It's a threat to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and all the other values that make the West great. So I encourage JD Vance to keep advocating for it and shining a light on it, because we've got to model better for the world, not have our Western allies acting like China or Russia.
Vance's stern words to the Foreign Secretary echoed the words of Donald Trump only a couple of weeks ago when he visited the UK to meet with Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Trump was in Scotland overnight for a meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And in a deliciously awkward 70-minute joint press conference, Trump did a better job holding Starmer's Labor government to account than the UK opposition have done all year. For instance, it's well known that Starmer's Labor government is cracking down on free speech. Just last week, they announced a special task force to monitor what people say online about immigration. So naturally, a journalist asked Donald Trump if he was worried the British government might censor him. And Trump, never one to waste a theatrical moment, delivered this gem.
You have a successful social media site. There are new powers here to censor your site, states mandated powers.
To censor my site?
To censor your site and Twitter
Truth?
and Facebook.
Truth,
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
Keir Starmer blinking like a deer in the headlights, suddenly giving an impassioned defence of free speech, promising to uphold it forever.
Nothing about censoring
free speech. But that treats all adults like children.
This country is the proud.
But that can treat all adults like children.
Free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever.
But despite Starmer's assurances that freedom of speech is alive and well in the UK, the new Online Safety Act is making a lot of people, including owner of X, Elon Musk, very nervous.
Look, while we're talking about the UK, there are concerns that the UK's Online Safety Act is at risk of seriously infringing free speech. Elon Musk's social media platform X says that lawmakers made a conscientious decision to increase censorship. The statement says many are now concerned that the plan intended to keep children safe is at risk of seriously infringing on the public's right to free expression. Now, the government has firmly rejected calls to reverse the legislation. It insists that the act is to protect children from harmful content online. But public opposition to this has really grown significantly. An online petition demanding the Act's repeal has attracted more than 400,000 signatures. Mia, do you have concerns that this Safety Act, this Online Safety Act, it might be well-intentioned, but it will infringe on free speech?
I absolutely have concerns about this, and I have to agree with Elon Musk that this is a heavy-handed approach, and it's an approach to censorship. I mean, there's no doubt that the political class has motivations to censor what they see online, because what's happening is the mainstream population is waking up to the fact that our traditional mainstream media outlets are full of bias, they're full of ideology, so they're turning to online platforms like social media in some attempt to engage in a different kind of discourse. And what the political class is seeing is they're thinking, I've got to censor this and control the debate, as they're doing with mainstream media outlets. Now, this happens time and time again. They say it's done in the name of safety. And I think everyone can agree that we want to keep our children safe, but this isn't the way to do it. It's a path to censorship. And we see it with time and time again with things like we call it climate safe or COVID safe. And each time we use this word safe, it's code for government censorship.
And perhaps more concerningly, individuals and website editors could face jail time for merely sharing their opinions in the UK.
Looking at the global implications of this, Politico reports that the UK's Office of Communications, which is enforcing this Online Safety Act, has already sent letters to at least 3 websites that are operating outside of the UK, demanding that they conduct harmful speech audits. The letters note that failure to comply could result in imprisonment for a term of up to 2 years or a fine or both. I mean, 2 years imprisonment, that is a serious punishment. But I have to play you what UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said about free speech. He was very awkward.
What's the importance of free speech today?
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about that.
So uncomfortable. He was so awkward there, trying to pretend that that's something he believes in.
Commentator Douglas Murray agrees with Donald Trump and JD Vance, blasting Keir Starmer for allowing free speech to die under his watch.
By the way, that answer that Keir Starmer gave there, I mean, it's just yet more robotic Starmer. That's exactly what he said the other week in the Oval Office when reporters also asked about the free speech problem in the UK. And he said in that same robotic way, we've had free speech for a very long time in the UK. Yeah, well, it can be dying on his watch. Just because you've had something for decades, indeed centuries, doesn't mean that it survives as a force of nature unless it's protected and defended in this generation. And Keir Starmer's government has decided that a priority in almost any real life situation is not to deal with the real life problems that occur, but instead to crack down on online content and much more. This has got to such a pass that now the Starmer government and Starmer himself pretend that all these online harm stuff merely has to do with issues of child pornography and so on, and that anyone who's pushing back against the online harms bill must be therefore on the side of child pornography. No, that sort of filth is already illegal. You already go to prison for that stuff. It is such a weak and pathetic attempt to defend something that is essentially indefensible, which is citizens who have said nothing illegal being visited at their homes by the police for tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook posts and so on. It's a lamentable affair. And as I've said to you before, Rita, as we've discussed on this show, the very striking thing is that all the time, the government in the UK, as in so many other countries, Australia in particular, decide that if you've got a real life problem, instead of solving it, you should go to the secondary thing of how people are reacting to it online. It's so not fit for purpose.